What is going on, YouTube? Just helping you out here. And for this video, I will be unboxing and giving you my first impression of the new 2022-2023 First LEGO League Super Powered Challenge Set. These challenge sets typically contain a field mat, several numbered bags of Legos for the field elements, dual lock to secure the elements to the field, and directions for downloading the game and element build instructions, which should be due out in early August. I encourage you to stay tuned to my YouTube channel as I expect to build my own robot and upload my ideas. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the box. It is a fairly long box. It has 3 cable ties around it to keep it closed. It's taped. So they do a pretty good job shipping it. They made it a lot more attractive this year with some new colors and some striping across it with toys and building toys on there. So it is fairly well packaged. Unlike previous years, this did not come in another box. So they just shipped this box by itself. I guess that's to save someone both shipping and cardboard. Let's take a look at the label. It's the first LEGO League Challenge Set by LEGO Education, and this is for the new SUPERPOWERED season, new FLL SUPERPOWERED. It's for ages 9+. And there happens to be 2,193 Lego pieces in here. They also give us a little warning about a choking hazard, tell us where the components are made, who's distributing them, and down here they give you the LEGO Education website. This is actually very important because if you should have a problem with the parts, you're missing anything, wrong parts, you can certainly contact them, and LEGO has been very good in the past at replacing any parts that are missing. So let's do a little bit of unboxing now. As we talked about before, this box is fairly well strapped closed. We're going to take these straps off. Okay, take that one off. I'm going to shift this up so I can slide the middle one forward. We'll come around and get the last one. Okay, got all the straps off of there. So let's take a look what's inside the box. Let's cut it open here. Okay. Alright. Hopefully you can see that. We've got the mat in there. We've got a bunch of bags. A variety of bags. Alright, so we're going to go through these bags one at a time here and kind of get an idea of what's in them. I'm going to put the mat off to the side over here. We'll get back to that later. Okay, I do want to apologize. These bags tend to get a little crinkly when we pull them out, so I'm going to try to keep the noise down. Okay, so here's bag 3. And bag 3 we have some panels here, tires, we have some angled beams, yellow, reds. Right, that's bag 3. Some of these bags, there will be more than one bag, so you're going to want to make sure you pull all the bags together for the same number when you pull them out and actually build the mission model. Alright, so here's bag 7. Bag 7 we have some beams, we have some axles, a couple small wheels, I see a gear over here, turn it around. Okay, we have some beams, interconnecting pieces. One of the things you'll see in here is there's another bag inside this bag. So they have a bag and a bag with some smaller pieces. The reason they do that is to keep some of these small pieces together and make sure that they go with this particular mission model. So one of the things you'll notice on a lot of these bags is this extra bag in a bag. So there's 7. Hey, here's bag 1. It's actually mostly wheels. We've got some translucent wheels, some white wheels, black, gray. And you'll notice again, we have these pins in here. We've got pins in another bag. Right, in the larger bag, and again that's to keep them separate and keep them together for bag 1. Make sure that you use them for bag 1. And the important thing about this is you really want to make sure that when you're building a mission model, if you're going to build one, make sure you get all of the bag 1s together at one time so that you're building all bag 1, all right, and nothing else is open, because you don't want to mix the pieces from one mission model to another. Okay, so you want to do them all at one time. Here's a bag 2. Okay, and we have some small yellow plates, have some beams, I see some some pins in there with the hole in them for an axle. Have some small axles, a large axle. There's some elbow pieces, again some small axles. Alright, so there's your bag 2. Okay, bag 4 has some of these plates. We've got some small plates, got some elbows. There's a frame piece in here. I don't know if you can see it. There's kind of a frame piece in there. Some of these interconnecting pieces, the H interconnects. We've got an L. Right? So there's your bag 4. Now here's bag 9. The important thing to note about bag 9 and bag 6. The square that's down here in the lower right hand corner means that this is bag 9. So that's how you can tell bag 9 from bag 6. So it's important, if there's more than one bag for either bag 9 or bag 6, you want to make sure you get all the correct bags. Okay, so here we have some plates, we have some beams. You'll notice again in the back here we've got a bag in a bag. Right, so here again, here's the bag in a bag, and in that bag we've got some small axles, some pins. Alright, and you'll notice we also have some other blue pins down here, so why they don't put the blue pins in the bag, I really don't know. We've got some L's, some other beams in here. Alright, so there's your bag 9. Just what I was saying before, here's your bag 6. So you'll notice this little square dot is in the lower right hand corner, and this means that it's bag 6. So again, make sure that when you pull the bags together and you're going to build a particular mission model like mission 6, make sure that you get all of the bag 6s together. You want to make sure that you have all of those and not the 9s. So we have some panels in here, we have beams, some L's. There's another bag in a bag. They do this a lot. Now why they have the blue pins in a bag here and they don't have it in the other one, not really sure. Some beams, I see some wheels in here. Okay, so there's your bag 6. Okay, now here's an interesting bag. This bag does not have any designation on it at all. Okay, so this is one of the blank bags, and what that means is the pieces that are in here are most likely used on more than one mission model, and they're bigger pieces typically, so they put them in a separate bag, and there's probably more than one of these in this box. Okay, so they do this and make it available so that when you're building one of the other mission models and it calls out a part that is not in the numbered bags that you pull out for that mission model, don't think that you didn't get the part. All right, look in one of these bags that is unlabeled to see if the parts are in there. So we have longer beams, we have some frames. These are fairly large frames. Okay, so that bag doesn't have a lot of different kind of parts in it. They're just bigger parts, and they're probably used on many different mission models. Okay, here's bag 8. Bag 8 has a little minifig in it. We see some pieces of the minifig. That's interesting. Has some panels, some plates, some beams. You'll also notice this box here. A lot of times these boxes are things like rubber bands or little pieces of cloth or something like that that they keep separate in a box to make sure that they stay in good condition. Turn this one over and see. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. This looks like it's a piece of red cloth. So maybe that's like a flag or a covering, awning for something. I'm not sure. It's another piece of the minifig. Here's some beams. All right. So there's your bag 8. Okay, remember we talked about the fact that there might be more than one bag. So here's another bag 8. And this bag 8 looks like it's all pins, elbows, different kinds of pins. See a couple other things here, a hat for a minifig. Right, so again, here's a second 8, so make sure that when you go to build 8, that you put all the bag 8s together, or you group all the bag 8s together and don't think that you're missing pieces. So here we have a second bag that's unlabeled. So you'll notice there's no label, no number on this bag. So again, this bag is probably used for many different missions, or models I should say. And we'll have some frame pieces in here. We have some beams, a couple of these plastic cord looking pieces. Looks like they snap on side of one thing. It's probably either an awning or something to connect to mission models, or two pieces of a mission model together. Okay, again, unlabeled bag so that when you go to build a mission model and the pieces aren't in the numbered bag, make sure you look in one of these first before you think that you're missing your pieces. Oh, and look at this. Okay, here we have 4 large frame pieces, all right, that were not in any bag. These were just sitting in there. Okay, so we have 4 of these. Again, even though it's not in an unlabeled bag, it's probably used for more than one mission model. Okay, here's a third unlabeled bag. Have a lot of these this year. This is mostly beams and frames. Some kind of interesting plate here. Okay, again, unlabeled bag. Okay, here's bag 5. So bag 5, I see some axles, some L's, some beams, small little frame piece in there, some pins. Alright, some short blue pins, some longer blue pins. Alright, so that's your bag 5. Alright, here's a bag 3. So bag 3, I see some wheels in here, some beams, some T's, some pins. Mostly small stuff, but again, a lot of wheels, or wheel hubs. Okay, there's your bag 3. Okay, here's a bag 2. I think we had a bag 2 before, but here's another bag 2, and this is all pins. You know, again, it's kind of strange why they don't just put this in with the other bag. I'm not sure, but this is all pins. We got black pins, blue pins, the longer ones. Okay, so we'll put that with the bag 2. And another bag 2. Here's another bag 2. Get some plates, some looks like some H beams, some L beams, some straight beams, some plates. Okay, so that's got some bigger pieces in it. Again, multiple bag 2s. So when you pull out your instructions to build the Mission Model 2, you got to remember there's at least 3 bags that we found for Mission Model 2. Okay, here's a small bag for 7. A couple little small beams, but mostly pins. And a couple axles in there, some small axles. Right. So there's your bag 7, or one of the bag 7s. And here's a bag 4 that again has some smaller pieces in it. I see some pins and some interesting pins here that have the axle connection on one side and a pin on the other side. And then we have these interesting elbows. They're kind of rounded elbows. I think we have a couple in the back here. I'll try to zoom in a little bit on those. Not really sure. They're kind of interesting. Some of the interconnect pieces. Again, all small pieces in the bag 4. So again, remember to pull this bag out when you do Mission Model 4. And we have a bag 10 that also has a lot of pins and smaller pieces in it. There's a couple of the pieces that kind of act as pivots on an axle. And we have some black pins, actually some small red axles. Some of the pins that have the little ball on the end of them. I don't know if you see that there. Okay, so again, all small pieces in another bag 10. Okay. Alright, bag 7. We have some gear, wheels, some beams, some of these fin pieces. See a frame, a couple frames. More gears back here. So we have a regular frame, we have a plate, and we have one of the H frames. Okay, so that's bag 7. Bag 10. Okay, so bag 10 we have some plates, some L's, some beams. I see some axles in here, some of the H pin connect pieces. Alright, here's some different color beams, some black beams, some L's. Here's some L pins, some T's, more axles down there. It's got a fair amount in it. There's your bag 10. Okay, here's bag 11. Bag 11, see we have some frames, some small frames, one of the H frames, one of these little small H pieces, some beams, I see some axles down there. Some small plates. Again, some axles, different cover axles. We've got a little ball in there. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. And there's your bag 11. And here's a second bag 11. Again, here's one with the separate pins. We have a little axle in there, but this is mostly pins. We have some of the pins that have the axle hole in the top. Small axles in there. I see some small red axles. Again, this is going to be one of those situations you have to make sure when you pull out 11 that you get all the bags for 11, including the small one. Bag 12. Okay, so bag 12 has a bunch of these translucent wheels in it. We have some beams. There's some axles, some elbow pieces, some more axles. Okay, so there's bag 12. Going up in the numbers again, here's bag 13. Okay, again, you'll notice this bag in a bag. Now, why they do it with some and not others, don't really know. But there's a bag that has some smaller pieces in it, so they stay with this. We have a frame. I see some axles, some of these plate or fin pieces here, some H-pin connectors. I see a couple little wheel hubs, more of these plates, some small axles. All right. So there's your bag 13. And here's another bag 13. It has actually some of the same pieces in it. Some L's, some beams. There's some of these plates, fins, whatever they... Oh, and this one has a bunch of blue pins. Alright. There's your 13. Okay, now here's a bag 16. So you'll notice bag 16 has some of these little plates in it that has superpower on it. See that? And it has these red tokens, which are typically your penalty tokens. So bag 16 is probably the last bag. Probably the last number. And these are really more like souvenir kinds of things for the team members, so they're typically not used on the field for the competition. That's bag 16. Here's a bag 14. Bag 14, mostly white and black pieces, a couple grays in there, but this has some regular Lego pieces in it. All seems to be small stuff. Some of these single level blocks. Some other little pieces in here. Kind of looks like one of those mission models where you're going to build your own and put it out on the field. Maybe they're going to have you build something that has to do with power. Okay, that's one of the bag 14s. Here we have a second bag 14. Right, so we have some smaller plates, some regular Lego pieces, some little plastic stands of some sort in here. And there's one of those bags in the back there, smaller pieces, bag in a bag. All right, here's the back. We have some plates, some more regular Lego pieces. I really think this is going to be a mission model where you build your own mission model and then you place it somewhere out on the field, maybe in a circle or along with another mission model. They're all white. Okay, here's one more, 14. Very small pieces. We've got another little kind of cord connector in there. That's actually a little piece of cord. I don't know if you can see that. Some small pieces. There's small little wheel hubs. Again, these are all going to most likely be a completely white mission model that you have to build out of those to place somewhere on the field. And this looks like our last bag. Here's a 15. There's a bunch of little tiny pieces in it. It looks like little caps, some sort of, a lot of different color caps. I think that's the last bag. We want to take a look. Got one more. Another bag 15 with the little caps in it. Little different colors, but again, a bunch of these little caps. Not really sure what we're going to be doing with that one. Guess we'll find out. Okay, so that's it for the bags, but that's not it in the box. Okay, so the next thing we have in the box is our sheet of dual lock. Now this is very important. The dual lock is used actually to put all the pieces down on the field. So as we'll see when we look at the mat, there's spots on the mat where you put the dual lock. And I don't know if you can see, this is broken up into little squares, okay? Get some angle on there, maybe you can see the squares. So these little squares come up and you put the squares down on the mat and you put the squares at a corresponding spot on the mission model, and this allows the mission model to snap down onto the field. So this is very important to hold on to and not do anything with until you're ready to put the pieces down. And one very important thing is they don't give you a lot of extra dual lock. So what you want to make sure is that when you put this down on the field and you put it on your mission models, that you do it correctly and put it in the right place, because you don't want to have to peel it up and stick it down. It will lose its sticky. And you only get this sheet, and it's usually just about enough to put everything down on the field. So you want to be careful. Right, and the last thing in the box is the directions for downloading the build instructions and the game. So the build instructions will be at this address, and they will not be available typically until the game is announced in August. So I think the first week of August they're going to announce the game. At that point, you can go onto this website. You can download the build instructions, which will, as you look at them, will look like this. They'll show you the mission model, what pieces you need, how they go together. Okay, and this is just on the other side, giving you an example of taking the bags out of the box like we just did, picking all your ones, building mission model 1, moving on to mission model 2. Again, very important issue is to not mix up these bags. So it's kind of recommended and a good idea to build all bag 1 at one time and then all bag 2 at one time. So if you have enough team members that you want to build, let's say, mission models 1, 2, and 3 at the same time, you want to send the kids that are going to be building mission model 1 to one spot on a table or to a separate table to build 1, and the kids that are going to be building mission model 2 to a spot where they're going to build 2. And you don't want to mix the pieces. It's very important that you don't think you're missing a piece and go over and grab a piece from somebody else's mission model, then they won't have it. Okay, so that's it for the bags. We have a lot of bags here, as you can see. Awful lot of Legos to build, and that'll be a lot of fun this year. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break and we're going to go over and look at the mat. All right, let's take a look at the mat. You notice the mat comes in a nice white wrapper here, similar to the box. It has a couple of these straps. Take those off. Okay, and the mat comes wrapped up in the white paper to protect it. It is a very shiny mat, and it is kind of, I guess, a rigid type of plastic. So I guess we have to be careful when we lay it out. We don't damage it. Right, I'm going to lay this out, and then we'll come back and look at the mat. Okay, so let's take a look at the field from further out. What you can see here is the field mat is on a table, and one of the first things you might notice this year is that the mat is centered, unlike last year where the mat was off to the right-hand side of the table, or to the east. In this case, the mat is centered, and there's a much smaller area on the left and right. So unlike we've had in previous years where we've had one side that's open and used as our home area, this year we don't have that. That kind of implies that they're wanting you to make your robot maybe a little bit smaller to fit in that area, or maybe they've changed the rules a little bit and it can fit anywhere in the home area and in the launch area. We'll have to find that one out. And it looks like we have two different launch areas, one on the left and one on the right in the lower corners. If you'll notice, they're different colors. They're kind of the same size and everything, but they are different colors, which is interesting. So this is a little different. We don't really know what's going to happen with that this year. I would suspect that maybe we could launch from either side, or maybe they'll want us to launch from one side and end in another. Not really sure about that one. The other interesting thing about these mats, and this was the same last year, this material is a very smooth material. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, right here, this material is very smooth. Okay, and one of the problems you have with this smooth material is robot wheels slipping on the mat. So any kind of dust and debris that would get on the mat or on your wheels will cause your wheels to slip when you're starting, when you're turning, things like that. So you're going to want to be careful because it is a very slippery mat. The other thing about these mats is the plastic material that they make them out of. Actually, it's not that it's brittle, but it will crease very easily. So it's very important when you're rolling your mat up and putting it out on the table. You want to be very, very careful about how you handle the mat, because if you crease it, now you're going to have a little bump in it that your robot has to go over. Okay. Now, one of the things I've noticed about this field, it is a very colorful field, as it is most years. Okay, and kind of has a theme again behind it with it's all about the power, and here we have some water, we have what looks like a little river or stream going up through everything. This kind of looks like a power plant, and if I zoom in on that, okay, you'll notice that there's black lines running out here, kind of like the electric lines that run on the poles, going to different mission models. So up here, so we have these lines going to several mission models, which kind of implies this is a central power plant, and these other mission models are going to be things that can either generate power or receive power, something like that. All right, so again, we'll zoom back out. This is the overall field, and what I'm going to do is go around to each section, and we'll talk a little bit about what we think each section is about. The one spot on here that we will talk a little bit more about in detail is from the release video, or from the reveal video, it looks as if this mission model up at the top is the cooperation mission model. So we'll talk a little bit more about that because that's kind of important. Okay, here we are on the lower left-hand corner of the field, and this kind of shows our normal launch area. Would expect it's still a launch area. This has our first LEGO Week challenge, and shows that Rockwell Automation, John Deere, LEGO Education, and the LEGO Foundation are all sponsors of the program this year. Okay, and the other thing you'll notice in here, and kind of show you, we have these little marks off to the sides here, some large and some small. Okay, and we have these grids that go across. Okay, so that's so you can position your robot. Helps you with alignment and guiding. We also have it over here on the angled side. So you notice we have an arc there. We go about 90 degrees. Unfortunately, right in the middle of the mat there where they have the logos, they don't have that as much. So that might be a little difficult for teams that typically use the center of that launch area to align their robot. Might have to find a different way to do that this year. Okay, as we move up the mat, let's move up this way a little bit. Okay, so here we are on the upper left-hand side of the mat. You'll notice it looks like we have a truck coming up to what would be a field element here, likely another field element here. The way we can tell that is if you see these black lines here. Okay, so if we zoom in, and you'll be able to see these black lines and some black squares with X's in them. So everywhere there's an X, we're going to put down one of those dual lock pieces, and the corresponding piece of dual lock will be on the mission model. So what's going to happen is we'll be able to take the mission model and just snap it right down on here, and everywhere we see one of these X's and we have dual lock, we'll push down on the piece and it'll lock it in place. So it looks like we're going to have one here and here, all right, and you'll also notice on this particular side of the mat, we happen to have a compass in the upper left-hand corner here. Okay, so this is important because a lot of times when the instructions or somebody in the competition starts talking about a direction, they usually refer to it by the compass. So the north is up here, we have south down there, west and east. So it's very important. We don't really talk about this as the left of the table, the right of the table. They normally talk about it as the compass directions. Okay, so let's take a look a little further in. Okay, here we are coming across the top of the mat from the left, and it looks like this is a solar field of some sort. So there's going to be a mission model here. There'll be a mission model over there. Again, we have the squares with the dual lock get put on here. some line following across here. So I imagine they're expecting you to be able to come up here with the line following, go across, pick up some of these other mission models. Let's move over a little bit. Okay, so something I wanted to make sure we point out here is this is the top middle of the table. And every year there's what we call a cooperation mission, which is basically a mission that both teams have to cooperate with in order to help each other out and get points. So normally there's a table just on the other side here, and what will happen is there's a mission model that both teams have to do in order to get points. That's why they call it a cooperation mission. So here, looking at the reveal video, this is going to be your cooperation mission. So that might be one that you want to make sure that you do. You have to talk to the other team, see if they're doing it. Sometimes you have to match up and do it either at the same time, or one has to do it before the other. We don't really know what that is this year, but that's probably going to be an important one to do. So you want to make sure you take a look at that. Okay, so here we've moved a little further to the right. As we can see, coming up on the end of the line following, we have another mission model going here. Down here on the other end, we have another mission model down here. And one of the things I'm noticing on this field this year is around each one of these mission models, we tend to have a color border pretty much around every one of them. There's another color border around this one. Try to point out the color border on the other ones as we go. Seems to be a lot of border colors on this field this year. So even around certain sections, this looks like some kind of parking lot. Again, border color around here on another field. So it looks like not only the mission models have a color border, but everything else on the field kind of is separated by a color border in addition to some kind of change in color like we see along in here. Okay, so let's move to the right a little bit more. I'll just slide this over. Okay, and here we are on the right-hand side of the field. Again, we have mission models up in the upper right-hand corner here. And again, you'll notice that we have the X's for the dual lock going in here. And again, a white border around this to kind of separate it a little bit. They do have a line following area. Actually, in this case, I don't think we would use this as much for line following. This would be typically for locating the robot. So maybe coming over to a mission model and backing up until you see the line, something like that. This could kind of help you square up the robot using line sensors for either this mission model or this mission model over here. So it's kind of interesting that they added that over there. It's probably something that they feel might be really useful for aligning the robot. Okay, as we come down from here, okay, we're going to see that we're down to the, well, I guess is another home area or another launch area. We're really not sure what this is this year because they typically haven't had this. And if we look at this one again, we've got this grid of lines along here. All right, and we have lines along here and lines along here. So this is very useful for lining up your robot when you're launching or making sure that you're positioning yourself. Sometimes we use an alignment jig that would help you with your alignment fixture. So that would be kind of handy. Again, we don't have a lot of room over here. This is another home area, I would think. They haven't done this before with dual home areas, so I guess we're going to learn what that's about this year. Okay, so I'm going to run across again over here. We'll come and look at the middle of the table. Let's go up a little bit. Okay, and here we are at the middle of the table. We have this black oval in the middle of the table here. Not really sure what's going to happen there. Don't know whether we have to put things in there. We don't know whether we're just going to use that as some kind of reference. Usually when they have a big black circle or oval, that kind of means something's going to go in there. And I don't see in particular an emission model lines right inside here. So I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen with that one. And at the bottom of our field, we have what looks like another mission model goes in there. Again, you'll notice that we have a border around the mission model. We have the black lines and we have the squares with the X's in it. And again, we've got this black line that's typically either used for alignment or line following that would be used for maybe squaring up or aligning. So they seem to have some lines everywhere you need them for lining up with the field elements. And as our bags kind of imply, there's probably 15 field elements based on the number of bags. Okay, so there we are with the field. And hopefully within the next few weeks, we'll be getting the game announced. And we'll all be able to start working on robots and figuring out what we're supposed to do for this season. Okay, so if you like this video, drop a like. Leave a comment if you have any questions or an idea for a future video. Click on the top left corner if you want to see the playlist for our other LEGO videos. And please don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends about our channel so I can grow and help more of you guys out. I'm just helping you out. See you in the next video.